Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and today I get to do something really cool for me, which is I get to bring Tim Minchin to this channel. This is something I would love to have done sooner, and I've been hemming and hawing about doing it. The reason I haven't done is I've seen pretty much everything Tim's put out, and so I can't really react to it, and I've been toying with doing just an analysis, but for a first time video it kind of be more fun to do a reaction because Tim is hilarious. I love his work. Timmy, our cat, is actually named after him because he's a red-headed comedian. Both of them. And subsequently, I have held off for quite a long time. But as of a few days ago, there is finally a video out that I can legitimately react to, which is Play It Safe, which is a song that he released to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Sydney Opera House. And I love that he's the person that they choose, or, well, maybe one of the people. I don't know, maybe there are multiple things that were done to commemorate this, but this is the one I am aware of, and I'm really, really excited to actually bring this to the channel, and thank you to Catherine, who actually put this on my radar. I appreciate that for bringing it to my attention, and I'm really looking forward to reacting to this, because it's cool to have a new piece of Tim Minchin music, and it's cool for me to be able to bring him to the channel as a full reaction analysis. Yeah, I've seen pretty much everything he's done. I've got all of his DVDs. I've seen several videos on YouTube of performances of songs from other locations. If you've got the Heritage Orchestra DVD, you can actually hear me. I was in the audience when they were filming that. They're introducing Dark Side, and he says that, oh, and this song's written in the key of C sharp, and all those of us that knew what was coming, you know, whooped and cheered. And he stops and he says, oh, there's some fans of C sharp in the audience tonight, or C sharp minor in the audience tonight. And you hear one lone woo! And that's me sitting about 10 rows behind him in the stalls. I thought other people were going to go for that, and they didn't. So, yeah, I'm actually on the DVD, which is slightly weird. But yes, this is great, and I'm really, really excited to be able to bring him to the channel because I love his music, I love his lyrics. I think he is a very, very entertaining and innovative writer, and an incredibly skilled musician. And I have absolutely no idea what I'm walking into with this. Most of his stuff I also wouldn't expect to see a music video. I'd expect to... I know people have done videos of his things and kind of attached them to their own visual creations, but this is the first time I think I've heard of an official Tim Minchin music video. And of course, I presume produced or co-produced by the Sydney Opera House as part of their celebrations. Sydney Opera House, of course, a stunning building. If you haven't seen it, I will put a picture of it right here. It's quite extraordinary. I thought it'd be fun. I had a quick glance to see if I could find some cool facts about it, and actually the Sydney Opera House website themselves has a page of 15 cool facts. I will put a link here, and also down in the description, where you can, as always, find the uninterrupted original video of this. This is not a market substitute that I'm putting out here. But three things I read on there I thought were really, really cool. And just kind of, you know, the kind of mind-boggling facts that I think are fascinating about places like this. 1. Construction was expected to take 4 years. It was started in 1959, and it took 14 and 10,000 construction workers to finish building it. That, by modern standards, that's a lot. You know, back in the days, a cathedral would take 200 years to complete and no one would bat an eyelid. In fact, La Sagrada Familia in Spain is still being built. Something like 200 years later. I forget exactly how long. Paul Robeson was the first person to perform at the Sydney Opera House. I'm quoting this from their website. In 1960, he climbed the scaffolding and sang Old Man River to the construction workers as they ate lunch. That's a free concert if I've ever heard of one. My goodness, I would love to have heard that. And this one is one I knew, actually, but I was glad I saw it here to remind me. And I think this is really cool, and modern architects, take note. The Sydney Opera House is cooled using seawater taken from the Sydney Harbour. There are 35 kilometres of pipes underneath and throughout that building, and both heating and air conditioning is in large part fueled or assisted by Sydney Harbour seawater. And the great thing with that is it means that a lot less electricity is required to keep the house temperate. compared to usual. And that's really important. They actually make the point elsewhere. It's another fact I won't go into, but they do make the point that instruments need to be kept at a reasonable temperature, both for performances and if they're just in the house for any duration of time. Anyway, it's a cool building, is what I'm getting at. Tim Minchin is a cool musician, so a cool musician celebrating the 50th anniversary of a cool building. Congratulations to the Sydney Opera House on its Golden Jubilee. I think that is quite awesome. So I'm going to say welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. If it is, the way this is going to work, I'm going to watch this video through from beginning to end. I will comment and emote over the top of it, but I will not stop it for any reason. I will then go back and watch it again, and that time I will pause, I will interrupt, and I will offer what commentary and analysis I feel I can draw out of it based on what I'm seeing and hearing, and using the foreknowledge of having seen it once. Please do like this video, hit the subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber of mine, that would be amazing. Costs you nothing, but does incredible things for me. You can also hit the notification bell and decide how often YouTube actively tells you I've posted, rather than just putting me into the feed that you get every day. And if you would like to, please do head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts. And I do have two thank yous, and that is I would like to thank Alex Walker, and I would like to thank Karina Rodebeck, both of whom recently bought me a bunch of coffees. I am very grateful to you both. Thank you for your continued support of this channel. I really, really appreciate it. And that's it. Without any further delay, we are going to check out Tim Minchin's Play It Safe. And I'm also going to make it visible so you can see what I'm doing. I nearly started it without. Okay, here we go. Oh, the silhouette. That's great. That is an amazing shot.
Life is like a song. There are tunes that folk are used to, so if you want them to sing along, just keep it simple.
Which they didn't.
You ought to play it safe.
Oh.
Life is just a game. People like the rules as written, so just give them more of the same.
Oh, this is great.
No one likes a smart ass. No one likes it complicated. If you want to go the distance, find the path of least resistance and just take it. You don't want to stick your neck out. You don't want to stick your neck out. They'll take your head off if you do. They're gonna rip your head off. Just sit up the back and judge others. Hey, sit down. It'll keep them from judging you. If you're too hard to stomach, you'll never amount to nothing. Ain't that something? No one cares what you have to say. Just shut up and play the role you're casting.
Oh, that combination, rejoining of the lyrics.
So just say the lines you're given exactly as they're written, and for God's sake, act your age. No one likes a show off. No one likes a clown. Just make sure you don't stand out in the crowd. That way they can't cut you down.
Okay.
You gotta build your walls around you. You build them straight and make them square. That way you'll blend in with the background. That way no one will point and stare.
Does nothing for the average Australian. No one cares about the arts. No one cares about art.
Oh.
It is a waste of taxpayer dollars. It is a failure.
Really? Wow, people. Oh. Oh, that's so cool.
Stick to your conviction. You gotta nail down your views.
Nail them down.
Oh, is that Courtney? It is. Courtney Act.
Comfort you feel when you walk in another person's shoes.
You don't need that.
You gotta work out who your team is, then wear the badge with pride. Find a box that makes you comfortable and then stay there.
Nice.
Inside. On the first day the Lord gave you television. On the next he delivered a couch. He delivered. Tell me how to explain all this content. If the universe wanted you out and about. Toe that mind on your suit, hide your truth, wipe your tears. Don't cause trouble, find your bubble, stick to black and white ideas. Play it safe, know your place, know your lines, know your limits. Find a doctrine, get it locked in, build a box and stay in it. Toe the lines on your suit, hide your truth, wipe your tears. Don't cause trouble, find your bubble, stick to black and white ideas. Play it safe, keep it beige, keep it simple and same-ish. Leave the weird ideas to the Danish.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, is that original? Oh, that's lovely.
You gotta play it safe.
I'm tearing up.
Your mind is like a house. If you keep it locked up tight, you just might keep the world out.
Oh. That is so good! Oh, that made me tear up at the end. Oh, that is gorgeous. Well played, Tim. See, this is one of the things I love so much about Tim Minchin. If you haven't come across him before, I realise I didn't introduce him at the beginning. He's an Australian comedian who has found success doing so many different things. He's been a musical comic like this, which he started out just him and a piano and got to the point where he was playing with symphony orchestras. He wrote the soundtrack... Oh, the soundtrack. Don't use that word, David. He wrote the music for Matilda, the musical, and Groundhog Day. And the lyrics, at least for Matilda, I actually don't know if he wrote the lyrics for Groundhog Day. I should check that. He's an incredibly talented musician. He's opinionated, and the incredible thing about him, if you haven't seen his comedy before, and I'll just state this before you go off and watch something else, is he can deliver political opinion with such a healthy dose of comedy. Yes, he did write the lyrics for Groundhog Day, incidentally. With such a healthy dose of comedy that you can't help but chuckle along to it while he expresses, you know, quite bluntly what his views are. But it's just, he's realistic. He's you know, completely for the people in every possible way, for every type of people. And what he does is funny and relatable and just quite marvelous in general. I just wanted to have a quick glance. I was interested to see what yeah, so Matilda won 4 Tony Awards, rather. And I should have looked this up beforehand. What did he actually get? London production. So it got the Olivier's. It got a ton of Olivier's. It got the Tonys for Best Book, Best Featured Actor, Best Scenic Design, and Best Lighting Design. It also got an honours for excellence in theatre. What got the Best Musical that year? I actually genuinely don't know. Pause while I look that up. Okay, so Best Musical that year was won by Kinky Boots. Of course it was. Which, reasonable. I saw that. Actually, I remember this was a good year. I also saw there Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike, which won the Best Play. But I saw both of those on Broadway, and Kinky Boots was quite wonderful. It's a great show. So I entirely get that. Shame Matilda didn't win. I think it was equally deserving. Anyway, but yeah, suffice it to say he's a very, very talented individual, and you'll probably enjoy what he has to say. And the great thing is, he pushes your buttons until he drops the twist, where you realise that it was all for comedic effect, and you know, he'll push boundaries only to realise that you never really left the boundaries, if that makes any sense. It's quite extraordinary. But then he does this sort of thing, which is so funny and so incredibly touching at the same time. And I love the fact that, you know, what he's saying here is exactly the opposite of what he wants you to do. He sings the way he sings it makes you realise, hang on, this is daft. Of course you want to not play it safe. You want to make this really cool looking building. You want to throw huge amounts of money at this and make sure that it comes out right. That was another one of the facts, actually, was they said originally it was estimated to be $7 million and it ended up costing $102 million. You know, worth every penny. And I wanted to double check this because I remembered seeing this on the page. Again, more of these facts. They leave the crazy ideas to the Danish. The architect who won the design, or I say architect, he may have just, you know, the person who drew up the design was, I have no idea how to pronounce this, but Jørn Utzon, maybe, from Denmark. So hence that lyric. I assumed that was what he was going for, and it was indeed that. I'm going to go back to the beginning and try and watch this thing through, because that is just brilliant. So here we go again with Play It Safe. So I love, first of all, opening with the orchestra warming up. It's how any orchestral concert would be presented. And yet I love that it sets the expectation that you're about to see an orchestra, and then you just get Tim in a spotlight, and there appears to be nobody else around him. That is fantastic. I also love the simplicity of this design, the eraser, the pencil, and the sharpenings, or the pen, is it a pen? No, or whatever it is. And I'm assuming those are sharpenings or rubbings by the eraser, the empty notebook, and then what at first just looks like this perfectly peeled, single peel orange, until you realise it's forming the silhouette of the Sydney Opera House. It's such a simple beginning, but it's so effective. And ironically, it's both, you know, he's saying keep things simple, and he's kept this. This is simple. This is a simple opening, but there's so much complexity to it. And that, I think, is another underlying genius to these lyrics. There's nothing wrong with keeping it simple. You can keep it simple and step way outside the boundaries all at the same time. And he's done that here. The simplicity of the scene is belied by the underlying complexity of what it's actually representing, and it's so good. And then this shot, my goodness, this next shot. Oh! Look at that for an opening shot of a video. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Tim has such a sense for the dramatic. I'm sure he worked with whoever did the production design on this, and this is superb. It is absolutely superb. Just even the subtitles, simple piano. And this is another thing he does with his songs. He starts out simple and goes bananas with the complexity of his piano parts. He's an outrageously skilled pianist. Like I said, when I went to the Heritage Orchestra concert, we actually got seats about 10 rows behind him, so I had the perfect view of his hands on the keyboard, and it was just a blur. He's so talented as a pianist, but he always has a simplicity at the root of everything that he does. It's great.
You gotta keep it simple. Life is like a song. There are tunes that folk are used to, so if you want them to sing along.
This is such an interesting thing, because this is quite memorable. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. It's all within a very small, like 6 or 7 notes. I can't quite remember where it's going, but it's quite tight, and a lot of the most sort of sing-alongable pieces of music have that kind of tightness, at least in the beginning, so that you can get that piece of music lodged into your head. And they can either stick there, or they can go off somewhere else. But if you have that basis at the beginning, it gives you so much to work with.
Just keep it simple.
And just keep it simple. And these photos of this incredibly complex building being built. I just wanted to see.
Keep it simple.
Thurwell and Mackenzie. Oh, yeah, so engineering. Okay, so that's the engineers. I just saw that banner there. I was like, what does that say? As you saw later in the video, the Sydney Opera House, it's not actually white. It looks it, but it's not. It's got a tiled pattern on it that from a distance you don't see as much. But it has this white look to it. And it's been used as a canvas before. We saw it being used as a canvas for video, for messages. It's perfect for that. So I was just curious if that was one, but no, it's just the engineering company. Excuse me. What a shot this is, though. This guy up on the piece of concrete that's being moved here. You know, you see the detail that goes into putting this thing together. This kind of foundational roofing going on over here with these cross slats through them. It's an extraordinary building, and anything with curves on it, if my understanding is correct, is more difficult to construct than something that is simply square. I mean, that just goes without saying, really. And so to have a building that is such an extraordinary shape is quite wonderful.
You ought to play it safe.
And there, that beautiful reveal. And I love that what we get from this, we get the space, like we're looking up into... And this is a really cool view, by the way. Anytime you're at a concert hall, if you look up, you'll see something like this. Not necessarily this patterning of the roofing, but lights everywhere. I guarantee you, if you've never looked up in a concert hall before, you have no idea how many lights are turned on at any given moment. It's crazy. But this is really cool, getting to see this array laid out before us.
You ought to play it.
That wasn't what I was going for, though. That was the shot I was going for. I love that we see this. We see the stage taking shape, the organ pipes in, presumably the console as well, which is what you call the keyboard and controls of an organ. And sort of a little bit of all the structure. And then 5 seconds later, we get this shot where we see it all in use, fully lit, beautifully decorated. It's stunning, and it proves the point to those people who were on those radio broadcasts saying waste of taxpayers' dollars. Here is proof that it wasn't.
You ought to play it safe. Life is just a game. People like the rules as written.
And this is so beautiful. The string part that's underneath, bum, 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 whatever the notes are. Very, very short staccato notes, abrupt, tightly controlled. The fact that they are short means you can hear the control. You can hear them all coming in simultaneously. It's not like you don't hear the buzzing of different entries. It's a very clean, smooth, well-rehearsed section. We get this group marching up the stairs, acting in unison, turning their heads in unison. Everything at the beginning of this video is about structure and adhering to structure and order, and routine is implied by the fact that the strings are that well disciplined. Also because I'm sure... So actually, one thing I didn't do. I'm going to go now. I'm sure that's probably the Sydney Symphony. Yeah, Sydney Symphony Orchestra. So let's have a quick look here. Who else is in this? The Australian Ballet, the Sydney Philharmonic Choirs, plural, Ziggy Ramo, Zara Newman, the Sydney Theatre Company, or of the Sydney... Zara Newman Sydney Theatre Company? John Bell of Bell Shakespeare. I guess those are the companies they come from. The Australian Chamber Orchestra, Elmer Criss of Bangarra Dance Theatre, Kira Puru, Kathy D. Zhang of Opera Australia, William Barton, Courtney Act, okay, yes, it was Courtney, Jimmy Barnes, Sydney Dance Company pre-professional year students and associate artists, Lucy Guerin dancers, and Dirty Feet dancers. Kudos to all of you for an amazing performance. And we do have to credit as well. So Kim Gehrig was the director of this, executive music producer and arranger Elliot Wheeler. Okay, so Tim's worked with an arranger for this. Cinematographer Stefan Duschio. Fantastic work there. Creative agency is the Monkees. Part of Accenture song. Okay. And a Revolver X some such production. And these are important things too. The conductor of the Sydney Symphony Orchestra and the Sydney Philharmonic Choirs is Brett Waymark, OAM. Not sure what OAM stands for. I'm assuming that's an Australian honour of some sort. The Order of Australia. Okay, yeah, that'll do it. The choreographer is Lucy Guerin. The choreography of the Bangarra Dance Theatre is Stephen Page. And Dirty Feet rehearsal assistant Sarah Vine Vassallo. These kind of things don't happen without those people. They deserve a huge amount of credit for putting together an incredible video, and then presented by the Sydney Opera House in partnership with Tourism Australia. Good. This is wonderful. Everybody involved in this, congratulations on a phenomenal job. This is such a good video. Anyway, back to our order and structure before we go somewhere else.
It's just a game. People like the rules as written, so just give them more of the same.
And I love, this is so good, the places that we are seeing people perform. You know, we have the orchestra on this beautiful stage, but then shots like this, where we have this, I don't even know where this would be, but we see this kind of slightly, I don't want to say, what's the right word, weathered, this weathered part of the structure with this beautiful performance going on right in front of it. It makes a point. And I think it actually reinforces in some way everything I just said about choreographers and agents and all that sort of thing. Is the beauty of the Sydney Opera House doesn't exist without its skeleton as well. You know, you see the outside of a building and it's so easy to judge everything by that, but there's so much going on inside too. And since we're commemorating that building, I think it bears mentioning at this point that, you know, this sort of thing is there as well. It's not all this beautiful facade. There's the bits that hold it up too and make it possible for it to exist. And I love that we are seeing this counterpoint of stunning performance against ugly scenery. And it's not ugly. It's a part of a beautiful structure. But I say that in the sense that it's not some gorgeously prepared backcloth with an intricate set in front of it. It's just a part of the foundation of the building. So good.
People like the rules as written, so just give them more of the same. No one likes a smart ass. No one likes it complicated. If you want to go the distance, find the path of least resistance.
And all the while, and this is where he starts to break away. Find the path of least resistance, all while he's pushing through a crowd going in the opposite direction to everybody else around him. And now we start to see him lead the charge towards doing exactly the opposite of what he's singing. This is the magic of a Tim Minchin video, is stuff like, or a song rather, is moments like this. And the fact that he gets to realize this in full video is so good.
If you want to go the distance, find the path of least resistance and just take it. You don't want to stick your neck.
And I love that we get these minutes of seeing old performances, because this is the Sydney Opera House, right? It's Australia's Covent Garden. It's one of these wonderful. It's a monument in the city, and the people who must have performed there, I cannot even begin to imagine. And we get to see a few of them in here, and I don't necessarily recognise everybody, and I'm not even going to try, because I'm sure there's a bunch of Australian artists in here as well who I won't even know. But the fact that we see these moments of these grand performances, so wonderful.
And just take it. You don't want to stick your neck out. You don't want to stick your neck out. They'll take your head off if you do. They're gonna rip your head off. Just sit up the...
And I love this too. We start out here with the spoken lines and the singing. They start out with that repetition, and then he says they're going to rip your head off, which is not what Tim said. He starts to break away. He's not repeating back precisely what's said. Right as we're about to break completely away and go into a totally different sort of flow and rhythm for a moment.
They'll take your head off if you do. They're gonna rip your head off. Just sit up the...
I mean...
They'll take your head off if you do. They're gonna...
Isn't that a photograph? Like, this is what I mean. The people who are going to have visited a place like this are remarkable. It was opened by Queen Elizabeth II, who visited it 4 more times. You know, oh, actually, and interestingly, here you can see the tiling on it better. You can actually see that tiling I was talking about. That's kind of cool. I love that. That's a really cool shot. But I mean, what a moment in history each of these is. It's great.
Rip your head Just off. Sit up the back and judge others. Hey, sit down. It'll keep them from judging you.
And there's something too that's a bit rebellious. Standing on a grand piano. I've sat on grand pianos and sung before. I've never stood on one. But you know, you don't do that. Sure you do if that's what the performance asks for. But it's conventionally wrong. And I love that that's one of the things that they do early on in this video.
And judge others. Hey, sit down. It'll keep them from judging you. If you're too hard to stomach, you'll never amount to nothing. Ain't that something? No one cares what you have to say. Just shut up and play the role you're casting.
That is so good right there. That timing as they both come back in and land on Carstin at the same time. Even though what Tim sings at the beginning of his line and where we're coming from with the rapper, forgive me, I'm not going to go back and look at every single name. I will confuse the living daylights out of myself if I do, and this video will be even longer than it's going to be. But the timing of landing right back in on those two words perfectly is so good.
Ain't that something? No one cares what you have to say.
Interesting also, sorry, momentary side note, I'm noticing this ceiling here. I've never been to Australia. I haven't visited the Opera House. I desperately would love to. But this sort of, it reminds me a little bit of the mushroom ceiling to the Royal Albert Hall in London. These kind of big hanging panels. And I'm assuming that there's something to do with sound diffusion. Because if there's one thing about these big, big, big concert halls, it is they are designed meticulously with an eye to the transference of sound at its most efficient and high quality throughout the entire space. Interestingly, the Royal Albert Hall, which I have performed in several times, that sounds fancier than it really is. It was like a big sort of local schools choir festival that I was in, I think 3 times. I didn't actually particularly enjoy the experience of singing in a big group there. It might be good for a smaller group. Instrumentation, I don't know. I haven't ever played an instrument there. But it wasn't the greatest acoustic to sing in. But it is one of the best acoustics I have sat in and listened to something. And they put a lot of attention into making sure the audience gets a high quality sound. And I feel sure that that's what's going on here with these huge panels on the top of the Sydney Opera House as well.
Just shut the stomach, you never amount to nothing. Ain't that something? No one cares what you have to say. Just shut up and play the role you're casting.
All the world's a stage.
You see, all the world's a stage.
All the men and women
So just say the lines.
Of course, an absolutely delightful quote. All the world's a stage. Oh, goodness. I don't know what just happened there. I'm recording this in October. I'm wondering if I have a poltergeist? Some stuff just moved on my desk and I had nothing to do with that. I don't know what happened. That was a little weird. Anyway, All the World's a Stage from William Shakespeare's As You Like It. It's a marvellous speech, and I love the fact that that's what they're quoting here. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women in it merely players. And Shakespeare's one of those things that increasingly does get changed these days. But of course, it used to be, these are the words the bard wrote. And I like the fact that they're using that while he's saying, say the lines you're given exactly as they're written, which is not how people do it anymore. You cut chunks of the play. Sometimes lines are interpreted differently depending on the situation, things like that. This is great. I love it.
You see, all the world's a stage.
all the men and women merely
So just say the lines you're given exactly as they're written, and for God's sake, act your age.
That is such a good clip to cut to for that line. And of course, what does act your age really mean? Right? I mean, the implication there is it's, you, David, you're a 38-year-old male. Act someone who's between 30 and 50. Don't act an 18-year-old and don't act a 75-year-old kind of thing. While I'm all in favour of if you need somebody who looks a certain way in terms of age or ability or anything else, cast somebody who can do that. At the same time, one of the great things about theatre is you can be anybody you want. And so again, these beautiful moments where he says, act your age, and then we see this, this is a performance that is somebody acting their age. They are capable of doing this, so they are doing it. It's great. I love it.
Exactly as they're written, and for God's sake, act your age. No one likes a show off. No one likes a clown. Just make.
In case you haven't gathered it from things I've been saying, Tim Minchin is a show-off and a clown. I would probably be the first person to admit that.
No one likes a clown. Just make sure you don't stand out in the crowd.
I mean, that's a shot. I have absolutely no idea what is happening in this photograph, but again, what an amazing picture capturing something. If I manage to find out before I post this what was happening here, I'll stick a note. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. If I haven't got a note right here saying what's going on, somebody please tell me, because I'm kind of fascinated. But yeah, again, don't stand out in a crowd. I mean, I guess here's the interesting thing. Nobody in that crowd is standing out. But at the same time, that's a photo that stands out.
Just make sure you don't stand out in the crowd. That way they can't cut you down. You gotta build your walls around you. You build them straight and make them...
I love some of the shots in this are so good. Like, look at this. What a beautiful shot. I'm assuming this is a corridor that leads, you know, from the lobby to the auditorium somewhere. That's my guess. Again, to clarify, I have never been there. If I'm wrong, someone let me know. But what an extraordinary place to sort of see a shot. And I love that we have this striking red against the purple. We have this performance going on in what is otherwise, you know, yeah, there's interesting designs and there's some cool lighting in here, but it's a very sort of sanitized space. It's there as its function over form, even while it does look pretty. It is ultimately a corridor, and it doesn't not look like a corridor. But the fact that we're using every single space in this building for performances is just brilliant.
Build your walls around you.
And this, what a shot! Tim up in the organ seat. You've got the soloist down on the stage, the choir behind, looking uniform, all the lines coming down the side. Oh, now I'm knocking things over. This beautiful, subtle underlighting that's coming around the lip of the stage at the top at the back there. And just this this is stunning. The thought and the creative control that has gone into this video is remarkable.
You build them straight and make them square.
And right.
Walls around you. You build them straight.
There's a beautiful look at the tiling. Now, I thought the tiling had two different colours on it. I'm wondering if I may have made a mistake earlier, and it is all white. I thought there was different coloration on it, and I may be horribly, horribly mistaken. I thought the white was a slight illusion caused by the light coming off it, but... But build them straight and make them square. Again, interesting. If you look closely, all the tiles are squares. It's a mosaic, effectively. And yet this is a beautifully curved, ornate building. It is not straight and square. It is such a good use of lyrics here. The choice of shots in this is just incredible.
You gotta build your walls around you. You build them straight and make them square. That way you'll blend in with the background. That way no one will point and stare.
Oh, that rising shot too, just climbing up away from the stage, up through the organ, up into the rafters, and then we cut to this pose supporting the verticality. This is so good.
Background. That way no one will point and stare.
Oh! And we just keep going up. The hand goes up into the lift, goes up into climbing up the side of the actual building itself.
Point and stare.
Does nothing for the average Australian. No one cares about the arts. No one cares about architecture.
It is a waste of taxpayers.
Okay, I want to go back on this, but can we just all agree that everybody that's speaking in this has egg on their faces? Because they really should. I just want to look at a few of these. I mean, this time lapse, or like, it's not really a time lapse. It is a time lapse, but not achieved the way that we're used to it today. But these sort of photos every few days, probably, of how the construction is going, is just extraordinary. Watching this thing come together. I mean, wow. And then again, we get the photos like this. Like, I have absolutely no idea what's going on here. Again, if somebody is aware, please let me know. But just beautiful photographs of what goes into putting this thing together. That's a lovely shot, being able to see through before all the walls are in. Sydney Harbour Bridge in the background. It's not you don't see shots so often of the bridge from the Opera House. It's usually the other way around. Wow. What it must have taken, 10,000 people to build this thing, and what it must have taken to get it up in terms of logistics and machinery, I can't even imagine. Whoever took these photographs did such a beautiful job of taking unusual pictures of architecture. I used to take architectural photographs, not professionally, just because I found architecture fascinating. And it's things like this, the lighting, the composition of the light shining off 3 of these concrete beams. Well, you can even see like an edge light on the 4th one, these concrete beams, and then casting this shadow behind them. You can get stunning photographs of architecture. Cities are beautiful in a very, it's a very contemporary, very modern way. But they're quite stunning. It's going to go too quick for me to catch them all. But there, look at this scaffolding going up the inside. What it must have been like to work on that. And on these walkways stretching over the top, like here, up here. I'm assuming that's a construction walkway. Wow, that must have been scary. And these whole fascias going up. This is wonderful. What a brilliant video. Just, wow. There's the auditorium going in, I guess? Or steps, maybe. Wow. Was that stuff... What's all this? Is this foundation that got knocked out? Like, do you put in the piece and then cut away the bits that aren't necessary? I have absolutely no idea what's going on here, but what an extraordinary photograph. And then a bottle of ginger beer at the bottom. That's remarkable. There's people coming to see it in construction, I guess. Again, look at this for framing. These huge, twisted, like, I guess it's probably steel or iron rods make such a fascinating foreground and framing device for what's behind. It's just stunning. And the squares, these, very ordered squares. I did not mean to press the button there. Yeah, these ordered squares on the right-hand side is great. Sydney Opera House, many shortcomings, does not stand comparison with the new houses in Berlin, Salzburg, and Vienna. Ha! Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But it's certainly a global, recognizable building. Public misled, indeed. That's a view. Sailing past that in the harbour. Wow. And my goodness, you can stand up on these things? Whoa. This is a shot in and of itself. Beautiful. And what a great moment here of, what we all recognize as being opera combined with the didgeridoo. Like, a wonderful coming together of Australian culture right there on this landmark building. That's incredible.
You gotta stick to your convictions. You gotta nail down your views. Nail them down.
So if you haven't come across Courtney Act before, she's the drag queen that's walking down the stairs right now on the left here. Quite wonderful. I've seen her in Australia. She was on Drag Race as well. Hilarious. I'm just enjoying the interjections. But I love here that the orchestra's now almost become jazzy. It's still such an orchestral sound, quite a classical sound, but it's become very jazzy in its presentation. That's really cool. Restart, damn it.
Convictions. You gotta nail down your views. Nail them down. You wanna steer clear of the discomfort you feel when you walk in another person's shoes. You don't need that. You gotta.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Feel when you.
I love this, first of all. What's interesting, there's also a slightly self-referential thing, I think, here. Tim often plays in bare feet. That's just one of the things he does. But I love that we have this beautiful view, the very elegant footsteps being taken here on this beautiful floor. There's something very opulent about it. And then we get the immediate point on the ballet shoes. Again, kind of a form of performance you know, high quality performance work going on, and then a pair of heels just walks by. There's something so great about performance elegance combined immediately with an everyday elegance. That's great. Thoroughly enjoy this shot. There's so many little touches in this. I love it.
You don't need that. You gotta work out who your team is. Then
And I like that we're starting to get more colour now with the jackets undone. We see the coloured shirts underneath. Everything's starting to pick up. And you're starting to realise that what's being sung is not literally the message that is being put across.
wear the badge with pride. Find a box that makes you comfortable.
I love this quick change, but I also love, I didn't say about it before. Oh, is this the corridor that she was walking through? I just realised that's the same lighting. Is that purple flooring back there? That might be the corridor that she's walking through. But I love here this framing of Tim against the staircase kind of boxing him. That's great.
Pride. Find a box that makes you comfortable.
I'm trying to decide if that was practical or not. It was very well done if it was. I'm trying to see who's taking things off him.
Pride. Find a box.
Because everyone's taking their jackets off. It's possible it was practical. It's very fast if it was. And I can't see anyone carrying things off. Anyway, it's a really cool effect.
Stay the heck inside. On the first day the Lord gave you television. On the next
Again, these counterpoints that are coming in. He walks back into what we think is his house or somebody's house. And so you suddenly have this clash of something at home. Something that's, mundanely comfortable. Even to the point where he's watching himself deliver his own couch on TV. And then this rock voice coming in the background is such a nice counterpoint to Tim's own singing.
day, on the first day the Lord gave you television. On the next he delivered a cow. He delivered. Tell me
And this is so great because up until now, you still think he's in a house.
how to explain all this content.
Oh, the harmony there.
He delivered. Tell me how to explain all this content.
How do we explain all this content? Lovely harmony up the top there. Just in the background, just enough for it to be there, but not so much that it tries to take over.
That cow. He delivered. Tell me how to explain all this content. If the universe wants
And then we get this reveal that actually, nope, this is a set on stage with an audience watching. We're still in the opera house. We never left. There was no inside is still a performance. So good!
to do out and about.
And then we get this beautiful reveal of the colour, these lovely, like, future written on the clothing there. I want Tim's suit. Tim, if you're looking to sell that, hi. That is such a great suit. I'm trying to see what's written on the blue shirt behind there, but I can't quite see. It's just out of focus. But this, and this huge splash of different colours against the opera house. What a great visual.
Lined on your suit, hide your truth, wipe your tears, don't cause trouble, find your
Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about, messages.
lined on your suit, hide your truth, wipe your tears, don't cause trouble.
I've seen this image before, but I am embarrassed to say I do not know the context of it. But, you know, it's a canvas. You can do stuff like this on that. It stands out. It's been used in some extraordinary ways. Some, I imagine, sanctioned and some probably not. But, you know, that doesn't mean it's not a great space to do things like this.
Find your bubble, stick to black and white. Hide your truth, wipe your tears, don't cause trouble, find your bubble.
If you know Tim's comedy, I don't think it is just the literal representation of the bubble, this cabin surrounding the Pope here. That's not the only reason he's singing Find Your Bubble over an image of the Pope, I'm pretty sure. If you know his style, that probably makes sense to you as well.
Stick to black and white.
This is cool. Is this like concept art for ideas of what you could do with this? Because I'm seeing like against the yellow, this kind of looks very much like it, and the swirls look like they're becoming ideas for the opera house. I was almost wondering if this part of the image here was almost meant to be like a view of it from the top down, where we saw the singers singing. I don't know. I have no context for this image at all, but it's great. And then here, obviously, we have this idea of concept art of, oh, maybe these are other bits of concept art of people designing ideas of what they might want it to look like. Or is this a part of the Opera House? Maybe there's a part that looks like this. Again, I have no factual basis upon which to guess. This is also guesswork on my part. That's an extraordinary photograph as well. Not photograph, like a bit of video. It's just, again, the use of colour against the background of the Opera House, which I'm now realising more and more. I think I might have been wrong about it not being white. I think it is all white. I thought I saw a picture of some tiles that weren't, but maybe it was just shading and lighting.
Lines know your limits, find a doctrine, get it locked in, build a box and stay in it.
And what I love with this is there's still got, like, these claps, there's still very much choreography happening here, but it's much freer choreography. It's not this, you know, signatures and sharp turns and marching in step. It's much more about expression and using your body, and being a lot more out of your shell than it was at the beginning of this video.
Lines know your limits, find a
I just saw the, is that a sousaphone? I can't remember, one of the big curly tubas. Forgive me, marching band people. I was never in one, and I'm not so familiar with the terminology for all of those instruments. I just caught that in the background, though.
doctrine, get it locked in, build a box and stay in it.
Again, is this some... I was trying to
Know
stop
your
on
limits,
that.
find a doctrine, get it locked in, build a box and stay in it.
That goes quicker than you think it's going to. Is this related to silhouetting for it and what another idea of what the Opera House was supposed to look like? I don't know, but I love all these little cut-ins. They're so effective, even if I'm not 100% sure of the actual meaning of any of them, or all of them. Some of them I do know, but it's just great stuff, and it all supports the curving on this, supports this visual so well. Love it.
Toe the lines on your suit, hide your truth, wipe your tears,
Oh, is that the Queen?
the box and stay in it. Toe the lines on your
Oh, there's a great view of some of the instruments. Tenor sax over here on the right, trombone in the bottom left-hand corner. Yeah, we're getting a little bit more visual of what's going on. There's so much happening in this, and I love it. Yeah, I think that's the Queen, isn't it? That's lovely. It's great that they get a little shot of her in here, because, as I say, she did open it. And it looks like they may not have video of that, or if they haven't included it in the video, but... Maybe that's it. Maybe that is the opening happening right there. But it's not like we see her cutting a ribbon or something like that.
wipe your tears, don't
So much happening here. And the performers that we've seen before scattered, we can see the rapper there on the left-hand side.
cause trouble, find your
The didgeridoo performer.
bubble, stick to black and white.
And I love these cuts here, too.
Hide your truth, wipe your tears, don't cause trouble,
That's a great shot. That's a lovely looking up the didgeridoo.
find your bubble, stick
If you told me that this was this video 5 minutes later with more and more people cramming in, I would almost believe you. I love that we cut to this crowd shot. It's such a nice touch. Again, just seeing, you know, there's a whole variety of people out there watching something happening. I don't know what the performance is, but there's just so much visual of how beneficial this really has been. You know, this isn't going to support the Australian. Well, clearly it's got a bunch of people showing up. Wait to find out this is actually a protest that's happening. I don't know, but I'm assuming this is a performance.
to black and white ideas.
Oh, damn it.
Wipe your tears, don't cause trouble, find your bubble, stick to black and white ideas.
This is stunning. I mean, this is a great example of what I was saying. You can use the Opera House as a canvas for projection, for video work, and this is just stunning. I mean, look at that. What an extraordinary thing to be able to do to an entire building. And a gigantic building, too. Like, this thing is enormous. Look at the size of the people on the pier side down below.
Ideas, play it.
This is a lovely photograph. Why do I keep saying photograph? It's because I'm stopping it. But what a powerful moment right there. That's stunning. And I love that the piano's open, too, so you just get this... You know, it would have been good for the acoustics at the time. There's people leaning on the back of it, just watching and enjoying the playing. This is lovely stuff.
Say, keep it beige, keep it simple and same-ish.
That's, I bet, this must be that crowd again, but I see what's happening now. The stage is away from the Opera House, but it's the backing to it. That's gorgeous.
Leave the weird ideas to the Danish.
So, is this the designer? Jorn? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm going off Björn as my guess. But I'm presuming, since they're showing this on the word Danish, that this is the person who came up with the winning design for the Opera House itself. That's a lovely shot too of all the balloons over it. Again, so many people. Courtney in the background. That's great. But I love that everybody's looking up, as if they were looking up to the balloons wafting away, and yet that's obviously a different shot. Yeah, it's a historical shot. Beautiful. Oh, this is such a nice touch. So this, I'm guessing... Oh, I see. Maybe these were the archways that we were seeing in that drawing I saw earlier, or at least a take on them. I'm guessing from the fact that we see old footage of this model, that this is an original model of what the Opera House was to be built as. And I love that we have the purple. Tim Minchin in his purple suit being placed into the scene. That is so cool. Yeah, this is obviously an old photograph. What a lovely visualization. Can you just imagine the conversation that's happening there right now? Like, what are they talking about? What is, you know, how are we trying to convince that this is the thing to go with? And I love that we get it over this beautiful, quiet, gentle piano. And is that the Sydney Harbour Bridge on the right-hand side? I can't tell from the angle we're looking at it. I can't quite figure out what's going on here, but I think it might be. What an extraordinary angle to see things from. Just, I mean, it's iconic, isn't it? You see that building, you think Australia, like that. Oh, the sunrise. That's just so beautiful. Or not sunrise, but like coming out from behind the clouds, wafting away and sort of having it full shining out.
You gotta play it safe. Your mind is like a house. If you keep it locked up tight, you just might keep the world out.
Oh! And that ending too, it's so good. I love that he sings it off camera. And it's just this, here's a thought. And then it's that really what you want to do? No. Final note. With that chord hanging underneath. Oh! Oh, Tim! Wow, you outdid yourself, sir. What a beautiful video. That is such a good song, and I love that it's so touching, and yet it's funny because it's so obvious that the lyrics are the opposite of what the message is of the song, and it's so successful at achieving that. This is beautiful. Very, very, very well done, sir. This is a stunning video, and what a lovely tribute to the Opera House to see so much of its history, and at the same time see it being used in a contemporary setting. One day I will go there and I will see something, and I will love it. Anyway, that is that. I hope that you enjoyed this look at Play It Safe by Tim Minchin as much as I did. That is a truly beautiful video, and a wonderful, wonderful tribute. Hopefully, you know, if you haven't seen Tim before, go and check out some of his other stuff. Be prepared to be shocked for a minute, but trust me, he knows what he's doing. And what he's doing is good, both from a talent side, and he might take you somewhere you might think he's taking you somewhere that's a little uncomfortable, but it's for a purpose, and it's for a very well realized purpose usually. I know he's not to everybody's taste, but hopefully you enjoy his work, because he is fantastic at what he does. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. As I say, I hope I brought you either the video or the artist or whatever it happens to be, or even you've seen the video before and I just brought a new perspective on something to you, or paused on a frame you hadn't, one of these old photos you hadn't seen, or something like that, because it's quite beautiful. And happy 50th anniversary, Sydney Opera House. Well deserved. Please do like the video if you enjoyed this. Do hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you can decide how often YouTube actively tells you I'm posting. And if you would care to, please do head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, where you can donate to support the channel if that's something that you would like to do. thank you again, if you're especially if you're still here, for joining me for this video. And I will have more things coming out next week. So I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate you for supporting the channel, even if it's just by watching the videos and having a good time. That's what they're here for. Have an absolutely wonderful morning, afternoon, evening. Let's go for, I don't know, 12:27 a.m. I don't know. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.